Welcome to Try to Thrive, the podcast where passion meets endurance and every finish line is just the beginning. We're here to inspire, challenge, and share our journey through swim, bike, run, and beyond.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Try to Thrive. Today we have an episode about running into triathlon, how to start strong as a beginner and inspire as an experienced triathlete. I am Dennis and I'm here with my co-host Chris. Chris, say hi.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode. I'm happy to be here with you today, Dennis.
I'm happy to be here with you and happy to be talking about this topic with you, Chris. It's my pleasure. So this topic is about running, as you can imagine, and it's also about how to get into triathlon, but not only, because we have for this episode three target audience, you can say. Number one, someone who never trained and is interested to start his or her triathlon journey. So that's why running into triathlon. You might be also someone who just decided to become a triathlete, but isn't really experienced. So you are already in the process of training for your first triathlon. Or number three, you are an experienced triathlete and you have a lot of knowledge and you can share your knowledge. You can help everyone else. And you can also, what we talk about here, makes sense or not. But the ultimate goal is to bring together all these three target audiences with our community, with our movement. And at the end of this episode, you will get a bonus. You will find out at the end, but don't fast forward because we're going to talk first about these three target audience. And I have a question for you, Chris, because we have these different levels. So we have people that love triathlon, that want to get into triathlon. How can we make it happen?
It's a great question, Dennis. So I think, first of all, we need this kind of mixture of people within our community. So that is something that we are aiming for. And I think already we have a couple of different people on different levels, so which is great. Then, the next step is coming together, meeting regularly, and then sharing knowledge, going to people, approach people and, have a training together. And afterwards, discuss what can be done better, what was good, what was not good, to improve ourselves and giving feedback. I think this is very, very important. Be proactive, approach people, and then talk about improvements.
That's very interesting what you say. And I am on your side, as very often, Chris, you know that. I have another question. So if we have these three different types of people, what can each one do to make this community a little bit more thriving? So if we start with the first one, the person that is not yet into triathlon but interested, what can he or she do to run into triathlon?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important to find some kind of a mentor, to find someone who is more experienced, approach him actively, and then be curious. Ask about certain aspects that you do not know. If the expert is giving you some tips, then try to put that into your training and try to improve. Take his advices and execute this. And give feedback as well. If it worked for him or her, of course.
I find that very often people that are new to something or even that are already doing something but not for a long time, both very unexperienced, they tend to want to do everything by themselves. I'm not sure why it is, but very often people are afraid to ask for help. People are afraid to talk to people that are visibly more experienced. So here, I think these people in the beginning need to be very brave to talk to others. And if someone is completely new to it or does only think about doing a triathlon, approach people and talk about what you know, what you don't know, what you want to get to know, what you want to improve. For sure, you will get an answer. So that's the first step, what we need to have in our mind. So it's kind of like creating this mindset.
Yeah, and maybe to add something on top, then, is what I often feel also with myself. I'm in a training routine and I'm doing my training, and maybe I'm doing it over several years. Sometimes I think, why should I change something? It worked for me over a couple of years, and then someone appears and gives me advice. Why should I follow it? It worked for me. Step out of your comfort zone, try something out, and you may thrive better.
Yeah, and you can just ask someone, how did you do that? How do you train? What do you suggest? I do this and this and that. Just open
Yeah.
questions, be brave and do it. That's the first thing. And you will, for sure, running into triathlon will make it a little bit easier for you. Then you have the second group that is training, preparing, signed up. What do you see here, Chris?
Asking for experience, asking for problems he might had, asking for tips. What is his training routine? How often he trains? What is his approach to this?
This person that already started to train, but is not like very, very experienced and feels it, this person already can give feedback to people that are interested, that are completely new to it. So here, you can already do a lot, you can already talk about it a lot. Perhaps you don't know it, but you are already a few steps further than anyone else. So I think someone from that group should be aware that you already have a base and you can talk about it. You can be a member of this community that supports newer members. And then we have the last group. And here, Chris, I know that you will have everything to say what I also say. So I'm not even going to add anything. So you can just say it.
Okay, so for the last group, the most experienced ones, if you see people in a community that do certain mistakes, approach them, go to them, tell them, look, I have observed you running, I have observed you in your training. I think you could improve certain things. You could change this, you could change that. Show them, be proactive, and share the experience and make other people as experienced as you are.
Yeah, that's something Chris and I would like to have, at least in our community in Krakow, where we stay and where we train. So my advice is also, yeah, just approach people. If you see someone is struggling, if you see someone is new, talk to them. You don't need to give like straight some feedback, but yeah, talk to them, try to get to know what they are struggling with, how they feel, and then you can give them some feedback. Yeah.
Yes, especially as Dennis, sometimes it's not easy to give feedback to myself because I cannot see me running. So I need someone to observe me from outside in order to, I wouldn't say judge, but give me some advice what I'm doing wrong. I can't run and look at the same time. So either there's someone who's recording me and we can look it together afterwards, or there's someone observing me and then giving me some proactive feedback.
That's true. I think I have one more thing I want to add. And this is also something that I observed in the past with certain people that they would ask for advice, but then they wouldn't try to understand your feedback. And they just ask for the sake of asking, but then they continue to do what they do. And then after a while, they ask again. And it's like they're asking the same or something similar, but they don't continue to understand what the other person says.
Interesting.
But yeah, try to always understand what the other side says. And if you don't understand it, you can also say, yeah, I don't understand it. Have the conversation with other people and go forward. Good, Chris. That I would say was a good intro about how to create this community, how to help support people running into triathlon, and how experienced triathletes can improve what new triathletes or people that are interested in triathlon can do. But this episode is also about running in general, not only about running into triathlon. So Chris and I, we want to talk about how you can start running, training for a triathlon in running. But running after a triathlon is a little bit different than running in general. Chris, why running is different in triathlon? What makes triathlon running different?
That is a good point. And actually, I can talk here from an experience that I did on last Sunday because I had a longer bike ride around 70 kilometer. I made a quick break just to get some nutrition into my body, having a protein shake. And then I put my running shoes on. And man, that felt terrible. I had issues to come into my rhythm because your muscles are still programmed, to do the pedaling over 2.5 hours. And then you change from 1 minute to another into running. And that was tiring for me. My muscles struggled as well. I could feel it. So you really need to train it, that your body gets used to it. And I felt really issues. So I need to do that more often. It's not like you are just starting running, freshly, where you have you do your training routine. No, it's different here. But what about you, Dennis? Do you struggle as well, like I did? How was it for you?
Running after cycling for sure is a completely different thing than just going out for your run. You are fatigued after cycling and your
Yes.
body is using a certain type of muscles. You could think, oh, but these are the same muscles, but you use it in a different way and not exactly the same muscles. So when you have this transition, it's a complete shock. It's really hard and you have to train it. So for someone who is new, you need to be aware that this is not the same. These are very common struggles, especially for new triathletes, especially when I started with triathlon, my first triathlon, when I had to transition from bike to run. I could barely run and I needed like 2 kilometers to even have a normal pace. But then after a while, you feel better, you get better, and then you can run faster. So that's also normal. But you need to be aware that you need to do some called brick workouts, just what Chris said, that you do some cycling and then you have the transition straight to running. Another thing is the muscle fatigue can also be caused by intense pacing on the bike. So you still go very fast until the end of your bike leg. Here, my advice is always to finish a little bit slower, not pushing so hard, and then switching to the run. That it makes it much easier. The last I would like to mention is it's like the mental game. If you already went on a bike ride before and then you have to go on a run, it doesn't matter if it's a 5K run for a sprint triathlon or you do a half Ironman. This is very tiring for your mind. So you have to push through a different type of pain. And that's why it's different, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And I wasn't aware of this pacing down a little bit before the transition. So I will definitely take you on that advice and do that in the next time.
I did that for my Ironman 70.3. Before I never did that. And before I always was struggling. And yeah, for this Ironman 70.3, it went very smooth. I needed like 500 meters to get into my rhythm, which is exactly what you want. You want to get into the rhythm. So if you push until the end of your bike leg, whew, your heart rate is very high. It will be harder.
This is exactly what I had. So I started running and immediately my heart rate was like a rocket going up and I struggled. Let's see. Next time I'm going to give you some feedback how that went.
Yeah, I can also tell you one story from my side. When I did that with my last two Olympic triathlons, one was in New Zealand, the other one was in Spain. Actually, I have the shirt from the Challenge Barcelona in Spain, I should say Catalonia.
Oh,
And I mean, yeah, you cannot talk much Spanish, but of course it's Spain. It's Spain. And here I was going so hard on my run. Actually, the triathlon in Barcelona, it was run, bike, run. When I switched from bike to the run, it was just too much because I went so fast. And then I made this mistake that I was running with my cycling shoes in transition. And this was a completely different type of running. And I haven't trained it before that I injured my hamstring. I don't run with my cycling shoes. I always put them on the bike and put them off on the bike. So that's also something. But yeah, it's very dangerous if you don't have this pacing down on the bike, I think. So now we know what's different with running in a triathlon. So for those of you that are new to it, you have at least some picture of it. If you are experienced, perhaps you have another idea. Please let us know in the comment section, anywhere on Facebook or Spotify, Instagram, wherever you want. Yeah, we'll be happy to get to know more opinions, more experience from you. And now we come to the next question I have for you, Chris, because it's so about people that are not experienced, that perhaps group one already think about starting with a triathlon, or group two that are doing it already. So my question for you, Chris, is how to start running if you're new or coming back.
That's a good point. And I can tell a little bit about my experience, because I would say from all these different disciplines that we have in triathlon, for sure, from the running perspective, I'm the most experienced one, because I did quite some races and I'm training it over a couple of years already, with a longer break in between, but I still have my mistakes in mind and know what to do and what not to do. Starting with running, and I just had a conversation this weekend with a friend who just started running, and he complained about some knee issues. And that's always when you come to running, right? How to start right, how to avoid any kind of issues after running or during running. And my first question was, well, can you tell me a little bit about your shoes? And he told me that he was trying to find some cheap alternatives. And I said, oh, wait a minute. If you run, the only thing that you need and that needs to be very good are your shoes. So I think the most common mistake, number one, is not to invest properly in shoes. And what I mean is not going in a shop or online store and then buying the best shoes from a price perspective. That can also be total disaster. What I mean is going into a shop, talking to a person that is knowledgeable about all the shoes, all the different kind of brands, and then making a proper assessment. What shoe fits best for you? And there are different analyses that you can do. It depends on the store, how they execute it. But this is very important, to find the right shoe for you. So this is my first take. If you come back to running, I was having a break for several years. And then the shoes that I stored in my basement, I was thinking, they're still good. But no, they are not. Because the material is aging as well. So the performance that the shoe had a couple of years before, it doesn't mean that it has it right now after several years. So actually, I put my shoes on, started right away running. Even I know these kind of things, but I tapped into the same pitfall. And well, I ended up, obviously, I felt immediately, oh, there's something wrong, and I get some new shoes. So this is number one.
And it's usually, sorry if I interrupt you, but I want to add one thing. For sure, these running analysis, if you go somewhere, usually they are for free. The shoe there, you have this analysis for free. And there are a lot of different businesses, usually in every city, where you can get this analysis. You have someone with knowledge who looks at you, how you run, how your foot is touching the ground and where is the pressure, and he or she will give you the right shoe. So yeah, Chris, that's a very good point. And I think a lot of people overlook this. And it's good that you say it from the beginning. I didn't even expect you to say that as the first point. But yeah, if you want to start running, think about your equipment. You don't need good equipment in any other sports of triathlon. But in running, yeah, for sure, you need to have the proper equipment. Even professionals, usually, if they have some injuries.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And then the second point I want to give, because I just had this conversation, and most probably he will listen to it as well, and he will remind me, or we can have a conversation afterwards. So thank you for refreshing my mind on that. And then next question I was asking is about, how do you run? How fast do you run? Do you measure it? And then I want to add something that you always mention, Dennis, which is very important, to measure the heart rate. I ask him, do you have a heart rate monitor? He's like, no, I'm just running how I feel. It's like, okay, how much? How fast? And, all these different things. He wasn't really able to answer that, but he complained about some injuries already. So again, and I'm repeating what you said, Dennis, starting running is essential to have a heart rate monitor in order to slow you down. Because sometimes your mind thinks you can run faster, but your body is not ready for that already. So you need to slowly get into the pace, slowly increase it. And usually our mind is faster than our body is adapting. And I think this is common mistake number 2, at least from my point of view. Starting slow, monitoring your heart rate, and then stepping one step after the other. What do you think about that, Dennis?
I made this mistake as well, especially when I was very young, before I started with track and field. I remember how I would go on 10-kilometer runs with my uncle when I was a teenager. We basically had every time the same pace. And of course, if we just have the same pace and then I try to race one day, again, I have the same pace. And that's exactly what I see with a lot of people that get into running, which is, of course, awesome that they run, but they start running in the beginning. They make a lot of progress because it's new for the body. But then if you continue to always have a very high pace, then of course your race day will not be much faster, even the same pace. And then you get to a plateau and then you continue, you try to push harder and harder and harder, and you might get injured. So that's the whole point. You need to more or less know, how fast am I really running? And especially for beginners, I think the feel is not enough. I don't know if your friend had even a watch with him or he was just running. Did he have a watch?
He had a watch, I think, but I don't know what type of measuring
Okay.
he was taking into account. For sure, he knew how much kilometer he was running.
And I would say that's the absolute minimum. You need to know how long you're running and how many kilometers, more or less, so that you can know, okay, what pace am I running? And here we get back to the topic we had in the beginning, where people that are not so experienced should make use of knowledge from more experienced people. Because someone that is more experienced will tell you that, okay, try to run in the beginning a little bit slower. He can assess, okay, if your fastest time in 5K or 10K is this and that, then you shouldn't run just 10 seconds per kilometer slower in your training, which is supposed to be easy. So that's my advice. Back to the beginning of the episode, talk to people that they achieved already more, they know more, and try to get this input. It will help you to not have a lot of struggles. And I hope your friend was listening to you, Chris, and that he first of all bought shoes.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure.
But he also, that he's not overdoing, especially the slow runs.
Exactly. And I think I would add number 3. Is that okay, Dennis?
3 is good. 3 is always
Three
good.
is good.
You can
Okay.
You can do 5 if you want.
I don't want to overcomplicate it, but you said it as well, Dennis. If you want to get better, or if you want to set your body and your muscles some impulses, it's not beneficial to do always the same run. 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, same round all the time. So running for me is just one part. This is just one side of the coin. So you might ask yourself, so what is the other side of the coin? And the other side of the coin are multiple things. It is stretching, very important. I know someone that needed to cancel his marathon because he had issues. He was training very well. Everything was well. He had some issues. He went to a doctor and he asked, do you stretch? No. And he needed to cancel it. So stretching is very important. And then drills. Running, training, beside your normal training that you do. And what I mean by that, your normal course, 5, 10K. Yeah, this is normal running course that you can do. But running drills is a different story. And I think, Dennis, you can add here a little bit from your experience, what you think about it, what drills we can do, what is important and why it is important.
I love drills. I love drills a lot.
I know, that's why I'm
I
putting that to
I
you.
do I do them since I started being a track and field runner in my teens. And they
Dennis,
are,
I ask you one question. We mentioned
yes,
already track and field. Can you tell the listeners what is track and field if someone doesn't know it?
track and field is an Olympic discipline where, first of all, you have all these running disciplines, you have these jumping disciplines, high jump, long jump, pole jumping, but also these disciplines where you throw something. That's basically it. I'm
Okay,
sure
thank you.
everyone, perhaps the name in English at least, sounds a little bit unfamiliar. I can imagine even some natives who do not know what track and field is. You can also say athletics. So when I started doing that, I had a very good coach who studied sports science. He was also a very good runner and did several disciplines. He was a German army champion for the 10-kilometer run. And if I remember correctly, he ran 10 kilometers in 32 or 33 minutes.
Wow, that's fast.
So that's a little bit faster than Chris is running.
A little bit.
Not much because Chris is also very fast, but he can tell you about his time himself. He was very focused on the drills, especially after the warm up. So it was first warming up. So we were running around 2 kilometers, very slow, usually on the grass. So we would have some stretching, like Chris said, some active mobilization where you have this, I don't even know how to call it, like functional mobilization where you activate the muscles, not only stretching. I'm not sure if that is if that helps for the understanding, but Chris, we should make a video and show the drills. we should
Sure,
we
sure.
should put something on our community group just to show what there is. But getting back to my coach, so he was so focused on the drills that he would look at each and single person how they do these drills, and he would give all the time feedback so that every person just perfects the drills. I was a child, and of course I was asking him, yeah, but why? And he was exactly explaining me for what reason we do this, what makes it with our running form, and it just improves how you run. That's something very important to have in your routine. At least I would say once a week.
Yes. And especially now the weather gets better, so we can go out and do that in a stadium, which I love to do back in the days. Can't wait for it.
Where you are, the weather gets better, not where I am. But we get to that
Exactly.
later.
Okay. I mean,
Good.
to be honest, there is a lot of things in the internet you can also read, how to do the training, how to improve it. But if you follow certain rules, then you will figure out yourself. So don't get irritated by all the different forum posts, different opinions that from people that haven't seen you running. I think this is important, and that goes back to the beginning of the episode as well, that you need to find people, local people around you that train with you together, and then observe how you're running, and then give a recommendation what can be improved. That's very important. Because people tend to say, I don't know what you think about it, Dennis, but I hear a lot of people when they want to lose some weight or get fitter, they say, oh, I start with running. Well, I wouldn't recommend this because even if you have too much weight, right, it can help, of course, getting fit. Just imagine every step that you are doing, you putting X time of your body weight on your joint, on your muscles and everything. So that means if you don't have a good running style and you immediately start running to, for example, lose some weight or get fitter, maybe that's not the right sport to start with, right? Because first we need to build the base. What do you think, Dennis?
If you start with running only, I don't think that's the perfect solution. It depends how much excessive weight you have, but yeah, exercise is only a certain part of the equation to lose weight, and it's like around 20% of the equation, and 80% is determined by your calorie intake. Of course, also the calorie output. So exercise has its take also on that. But I agree with you, Chris, that yeah, if you are, let's say, a little bit overweight, and if you are a lot overweight, then yeah, for sure, try to have as much exercise as possible, especially low intensity exercise, but don't focus as much on running itself. Focus more on your nutrition. And that's actually funny that you're asking, Chris, because I wanted to add exactly two things to what you say so that we can together get to these 5 points I was talking about. But good that
Okay.
you gave me 2 points I can also talk about, because you already had three very good points. And I would talk about first about the possibilities. We can have different levels of people listening now. Perhaps there can be someone who is overweight, but this person would love to become a triathlete, and you can do it. That's the first thing I want to tell you. You can do it, but you should first of all not compare yourself to other people that are not in the current state, that have that much excessive body weight. And if if we are talking here about the most important things when you train, you have first of all intensity, volume, frequency, and duration of the trainings you do. You will not be able to have the same intensity, the same speed, the same pace like someone who weighs 30 kilograms less. Much likely you will not be able. So here, if I want to run, which a person like that still should be able to do more walks, do longer walks, and then put in some running intervals. And you don't need to run like super fast. You can go like, okay, I walk for 6 minutes, and then I do 1 minute of running, and then I again 6 minutes, and you can do that, let's say, for 1 hour, 1 hour 30. Try to increase that, and your body will get used to it. If you then also work on your nutrition, which we should make a separate episode about it, because yeah, what we hear in the media, what is promoted, the companies we see in the supermarkets, it's actually very hard to buy food that is actually good for you. So a lot of food that we can buy, especially that one that is cheap, yeah, it's not very healthy for us. And if you once start to eat bad food, oh, it's addicting. I know that myself. It's very hard, but yeah, let's not talk about that today. Um, so getting back to the point I want to make, so we have different types of levels. So we can have someone who is overweight or someone who is slightly overweight. Of course, you can train together from time to time. You can find ways how you can train together, but yeah, you also have to push yourself so that you can thrive, so that you can go forward. And if you on the other side have someone who is already somehow very active, not overweight, has muscles, can run, of course, this person much likely will run continuously. Or if you start with long runs, then you should have something similar like I advised for the overweight person. You do run, walk um, workouts, but not walking for 6 minutes. Let's say running for 6 minutes, and then you walk for 1 minute, so that the stress on your body will not be too much if you have a long run. First of all, you need to be able to assess yourself. Where am I? And you cannot compare yourself to someone else. So I cannot compare myself to someone who is already doing that for 3 years every week for 10 hours. But of course, you need to have different intensities. But if you start running in the beginning, your intensity should rather be low to get used to the lower intensity. So start more like with time-based runs, not trying to think, okay, I'm doing today 10 kilometers in exactly this time. No, just start running, time-based, uh, and get a feel for intensity. And we get again to the topic of heart rate monitor. Yeah, if you are serious about it, which I hope you are, get a heart rate monitor it, and try to exercise a lot in low intensity so that you are able to do more and more and not be very fatigued after each workout, so that you have to wait one more week to run again. And yeah, this run walk method works very well. I have some people I advise with training plans, and when I know that they're not so experienced and the body is not didn't get used to what they're doing, then the long runs, for example, are always run walk, so that they have run, then a minute of walking, and then it tends to get less and less. And even I myself, I did it also this year when I had some muscular issues. For the long runs, I was doing then also a few seconds of walking, just to be sure that I will not injure my calves.
Right. Oh, that's a good point, Dennis. And I think we could talk on and on and on about, all our experience over the past few years. I think one goal that we wanted to achieve, we didn't achieve today. And that was finishing this episode within 30 minutes. But hopefully everyone is enjoying it.
It was so much fun to talk.
Exactly,
Chris.
exactly.
We don't talk that much. We only talk when we record a podcast. So
you wish.
We had to do it longer.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I missed you so much because you are actually not in Krakow. So Dennis, I know we are discussed it as well on our last episode, but you are on a journey, and your journey is leading to where exactly?
My journey is leading to Hamburg, and I'm on my way to Hamburg. I'm 200 meters away from Hamburg, and today is Wednesday. We are recording it on a Wednesday in end of May, but on the 1st of June, which is Sunday this week, I will have my first Ironman. So yeah, I'm very hyped for that.
I think I'm as well hyped as you are, because I still, waiting to open the Ironman app and, try to follow you on the route. And, I can't wait to create another episode talking about the experience of the Ironman and how all your training was, and, very excited about it.
Thank you, Chris. Your positive energy is well appreciated. Thank you. Help for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. I think, Chris, we've covered the entire topic very well in very short time. So congrats, Chris. Before we end our podcast, I would like to ask everyone kindly, if you like what we were talking about, please subscribe. Please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. If you have some questions or topics you would like us to talk about, please comment. We just like to talk about triathlon, sports, nutrition, and everything connected to that. The next episodes will be about cycling and swimming for sure. For sure, we will do something based on that. And one more thing, if you want to meet with us, if you want to get into our community, we will post online on our webpage or on Facebook and Instagram. We will post events. One is coming up. The podcast will be perhaps also be listened to after that event, so we're not gonna say out loud the date of the event, but yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to get in contact with you. We want to build a community, and we kindly invite you to be part of this community. So check that out. From my side, thank you, Chris. Thank you to everyone listening to our podcast, and see you next time.
See you next time to the next episode. Bye bye.